everyone.
So we're going to talk about the intellectual property rights with the context of research and development, internationalization, and innovation. So I'm Kherlen. I'll be talking about the introduction of our topic.
I'm Eliecer, and I will talk about how companies face the innovation and the potential loopholes in the technological industry.
I'm Israel, and I'll be talking about how can we protect our innovation at functional level.
Hi, I'm Phyoe, and I will present the conclusion of this presentation.
In 1876, two inventors, Alexander Graham Bell and Eliecer Gray, filed patents for the telephone on the same day. Bell got the first by just a few hours and changed history. But what if I told you that today and you could be the first one to invent something and still lose? In the era of global R&D, innovation doesn't just belong to the fastest inventor. It belongs to whoever files, protects, and enforces their intellectual property best. And as companies expand their research across borders, their ideas become vulnerable to silent theft, corporate espionage, and legal loopholes they never even considered. So, how do we innovate in a world where the rules of ownership are constantly shifting? How can researchers, startups, and global companies protect their breakthroughs before they slip through their fingers? Today, let's talk about the hidden risk of intellectual property in the borderless world and how we can fix them before the next great idea is lost.
It is well known that in China, there are thousands of companies working on copies of smartphones and trying to touch the fine line between patent infringement and original intellectual property. And in several cases, they succeed by just changing a couple of technical details. For example, the iPhone has been growing in China since the first presentation, where electronics companies tried to change small technical aspects and technical parts, such as the position of the buttons per millimeter difference, and powering the internal 8 gigabytes of memory RAMs instead of 6 gigabytes in iPhone, showing the same function and launching it at an unbeatable price. The Chinese manufacturer located in Shenzhen, China, under the name Phoenix Mobile, can offer counterfeit smartphones to brands such as Apple, iPhone, and Samsung, running Android software and develop its own chips and motherboards. The location-specific advantage here matters when considering the low cost of labor and the extensive technological re-engineering work in one of the most strategic locations in China. Let's see here the presentation of the Hot 40 Pro model, competing head-to-head with the iPhone 14 Pro. Although Infinix Mobile has made a great effort to compete, for Apple, they show no trade so far. Although companies who have ownership-specific advantage can stimulate innovation and competition through intellectual property, the technology battle is real, and it's happening every second. As intellectual property and R&D departments have to work ahead of time to avoid loopholes. The question mark is, how can companies drive innovation in the face of exponentially growing companies without apprehension of intellectual property, brands, and patents? The product life cycle explains somewhat the urgency to launch a smartphone in this technological era at least once a year. So ultimately, the intellectual property rights are critical, and it needs a predictable framework for it.
I'm going to start this speech asking you that imagine you have spent years and years creating an amazing product and you are about to launch it, but suddenly something happened. You find out that someone else is selling the exact same product, and the worst part is that it's totally legally, and you cannot stop them. Why? Because they feel a patent before you did. So you are not the only person facing this kind of situation. This happens more often than you think. So let's ask Apple what is happening in China with Infinix Mobile since 2013. So the question is, how can we stop this? Well, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. There are some steps that we need to follow up. The first one, we need to check the intellectual property rules before we are expanding to other countries. Every country has different IP laws. So if you don't check first, you might lose all your rights about your innovation. For example, in China, they have first to file. Whoever registers first owns the right. Other example, in the USA, they have first to use, which means if you can prove you use it first, you own it. But what is the smart move here? Before entering to new market, check if your trademark is or patent is already taken. So now we are going to jump to the step 2, hire global IP experts. Most companies rely on local lawyers, but that is not enough for international protection. What is the common mistake here for companies? For example, filing a patent in USA doesn't protect you in Europe, China, or even in India. What is the solution up for all this? Work with global IP law firms that handle multiple countries at once. Now, the step 3, we need to use international IP treaties. Instead of filing patents and trademarks in every country, which is really, really expensive and is slow, companies can use global treaties to protect their ideas faster. And there are quite a few treaties that we can use to protect our innovation. However, some of the most used are the Madrid Protocol, Patent Cooperation Treaty, Paris and Berne Convention. Altogether, these treaties promote efficiency, consistency, and fairness in protecting intellectual property across borders. Now, if we look what Infinix Mobile have done, they have used Madrid Protocol and the Patent Cooperation Treaty in order to protect their trademarks and patents across multiple countries. But you may wondering what is the smart move here. The main point is we need to be strategic. We don't need to waste our money and also our time. Now, to close this section, I will ask, what is the biggest mistake that companies and business are making nowadays? They are assuming that their idea is protected everywhere when this is not. So, in order to protect the innovation, research, development, we must check first the IP rules before entering to a new market. Work with global IP experts and use international treaties to simplify protection. Otherwise, you could face a legal dispute, risking all your rights, financial assets, and valuable time.
Implementing strong legal protection, competitive advantage, and global patent registration so business can mitigate risk of intellectual property while maximizing innovation opportunity in globalized world. As Israel mentioned, companies should use multi-jurisdictional IP strategy for ownership advantages, but still miss point out the loophole. Looking back into the case, the iPhone and Infinite Mobile, Apple could sue Infinite Mobile if there is strong appearance of patent or design infringement. However, trying to be enforce patent across the world in multi-jurisdictional IP rights is difficult in some countries because the process of this country is complicated depending on geopolitical situation. Even if Chinese companies do not sell phone in USA, which is upper stronger legal ground, Chinese companies use the loophole which cannot lawsuit by legally, and the Infinite may slightly change the loophole which cannot lawsuit by claim. China unilateral patent system allows Chinese company to quickly patent minor changes before foreign company get the right for intellectual property. China use first to file system in IP right, meaning the first person who apply for the patent get the rights. regardless of who invented first. So, and the Chinese government favor of biased local company in legal product, infinite patent matrix design to avoid direct copying. So the company is also tickling the products. The design is not quite the same because they want to overcome this multi-jurisdiction lawsuit. Even the lawsuits in other countries can be successful, but in China, it's really difficult to see. The legal burden may take time, and many is also difficult to get for damages. Since Infinite Mobile don't sell their market share in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia, but Apple has fewer legal options because these countries do not have strong legal protection in intellectual property rights. Instead of direct lawsuit, Apple should focus on blocking import products, brand competition, and support for stronger global patent enforcement. Even the intellectual property rights are working together with international companies and countries, but still replicate drift from other companies. In 1996, Steve Jobs offered an important lesson. He mentioned it first, good artists copy, great artists steal, a quote from Picasso. And he adds something, and we have already been shameless about stealing great ideas. So I think this is the IP loose in research and development or international innovation. We thought this is the beauty of innovation. Thank you.